to bring the last 3 weeks together. Let's just bring it all together. And so read with me this verse, will you? Are you in verse 19? Could I bother somebody for a glass of water? Would you mind? It says in verse 19, it says, "Then the same day at evening, being the first day of the week, when the doors were shut where the disciples were assembled for fear of the Jews, Jesus came and stood in the midst and said unto them, Peace be unto you. And when he had said, he showed them his hands and his side. Then when these disciples were glad when they saw the Lord, then Jesus said unto them, now a second time, Peace be unto you. As my Father has sent me, even so I send you. And when he had said this, he breathed on them and said unto them, Receive ye the Holy Spirit." We'll read this next verse. Thank you so much. We'll read this next verse. I don't know if we'll get to it. "And whosoever sins you remit, they are remitted, or forgive, that is, they are forgiven unto them. And whosoever sins you retain, they are retained. Or whoever sins you don't forgive, they are not forgiven." We may get to that this morning. Here we are, the fourth time. This is the evening of the Sunday that Jesus rose from the dead. And it has been, as I've said each week, it has been the most remarkable of days. We are told that Jesus appeared to the disciples in the upper room there. They were behind locked doors for fear of the Jews. For what had happened to Jesus, they feared might happen to them. And there they were, but Jesus appears, and the very first thing he said, Jesus appears. I love that it takes the time to mention that the doors were shut and the windows were shut. And Jesus just appears in their midst. He's not there 1 minute, he is there the next instant, right there with them. And the very first thing he does is that he brings peace to their troubled hearts. That's the very first thing. He said, "Peace be unto you." And as we have seen each week now for the past 3 weeks, that's what Jesus does, right? Isn't that right, Christian? That's what Jesus does. He comes to his people when they are afraid. He comes to his people when they are crippled inside or crippled with guilt, and he brings peace to their lives. That's what Jesus does. And we have seen that the very first, and I must say the primary work of the crucified and resurrected Christ is to take away our guilt and to bring peace between me, between you and God. That's the very first and the primary work. Peace between us and God. Why? Because guilt is common to all, isn't it? To every single one. Everybody knows what it is. Tell me if you're excluded from this group. Everybody knows what it is not to do what we know we should have done. Everybody knows what it is not to do, or to do the things that we know we should not have done. It's every one of us, isn't it? Every single one of us. Every one of us, the Bible declares as guilty. Again, we can go to many verses that talk about the fallen nature of man. As Paul